Welcome to the Rising for Women podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Merlo-Booth, and I believe the world will be changed for women when we change how we walk in it. So each week, we're going to have hard conversations. We're going to explore new options. Some of them are going to be hard options, and we're going to have some real, straight talk. We're going to do that because I have faith that women can handle it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rising Podcast for Women with your hosts, Lisa Merlo-Booth, Dee Marcotte, and Arlene Newman. And today our topic is women and saying no, which seems to be a very difficult thing for women across the board, certainly the women who are coming in our practice. And I see women struggle with saying no at work, with friends, with their parents, no matter how old they are, with their children, you know, and certainly with their lovers and spouses. So let's talk for a moment. Where are women going awry? What's happening? What are you guys seeing?
Well, I like this one article that I read, and they said, no seems to be a foreign word to women. And it's almost like the women who come into my office, it's almost like they're allergic to the word. No, but you know, and it's always like, well, I don't want to conflict. I don't want to confront them about that. They won't like me, you know, I want to fit in. So I hear a lot of those kinds of things. I don't want to be abandoned or rejected, or like it's so much about this idea of I don't have the right to say no.
Yeah. Or I'm so afraid of saying no.
Yes.
I'm super afraid of saying no for 1,000 reasons, you know, and so they don't say no, or they mask a no, or they say a maybe, or they do a wishy-washy no, which you're not really sure they said a no. You think it might be a no, but you're not quite sure it's a no. You know.
But if I don't want it to be no on the other side, then I'll take the wishy-washy yes.
Then I'll take a wishy-washy yes. Yep. And they get caught up because they do want to be nice. They don't want to be quote unquote the bitch. And so they're like, well, how do I tell if I can actually do it? If I can agree to it, why not? If I, you know.
They'll rationalize, even though inside they know what they feel. They're afraid to say it. They're afraid of the consequences. They're afraid of not being liked. I think you said rejected, seen as a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they sell themselves out.
They do. And what I see a lot is they put the needs and wants of others above themselves. And so a lot of sacrificing. So even if they know they want to say a no, they feel selfish about it and like, oh, I have to do that for my kids, or, oh, you know, my boss they're so under right now, and I might as well just work on the weekend for them because, you know, they're also stressed. And so I might as well do it for them because I guess I can take on a little bit more. So a lot of putting the needs and wants of others, which even if they were feeling that no, they'll be like, well, if I can, why not? And they do that.
They'll rationalize away that feeling.
Yeah. Okay, so why not? Why not say, what's the harm in saying yeses that may not really be yeses? What's the big deal?
Oh my God, such resentment built up.
Yeah.
And it's such a wipeout of yourself. It's so disrespectful to oneself.
Yeah. What I see with that is so many women will say, I don't even recognize myself anymore. Because it's been 1,000 yeses that should have been a no, millions of yeses that should have been a no, and each one puts their needs a little bit further aside, their wants a little bit less important, their feelings, their health, everything. It's like this one yes, no big deal. This one, yes, it's all right. This one, yeah. And they just keep going and going and going until they wake up and they're like, oh my God, I don't recognize who I am anymore. I don't feel good. I'm depressed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm resentful as hell. It's like just this tsunami of, you know, the weight of 1,000 yeses that should have been no's.
Well, and then the stress, because
Mhm.
I've said yes in so many places now that I really can't keep up.
Yeah.
But then I think I have to keep up. And because, of course, I've said yes. And so now it's too late because so now I have to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning and finish whatever. But so I hear a lot of women being stressed, along with their resentment. And it's kind of like, well, if you had said no here, here, and here, I don't think you'd be so stressed.
Well, and then all those yeses set them up to feel less than. Now I can't do it. Now I'm failing. Now I'm imperfect. What's the matter with me? Right? So not realizing that you set yourself up for an impossible situation. You can't possibly do all of those and you can't please everybody, but you have such a hard time saying no that now you got yourself into a place where it's like, oh my God, the world is on my shoulders and no one's going to do it for me. And I can't.
You trained people how to treat you.
Yes.
I was thinking about, I don't know if you're both familiar with the book, When the Body Says No.
No.
Yeah, so basically the premise there is like you haven't said no in your life, your body will eventually say no for you
Yeah.
with some kind of disease.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a cost, a very concrete cost.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
There's the other thing, like the more yeses you say, the more you set up the people in your life to say no. So it's like the more over responsible you become, the more under responsible others become. And then you get yourself on like this rat on a wheel who's doing the kitchen and the cooking and taking kids and bathing and, you know, or at work, you're the one always doing the projects and you're the one, you don't want to delegate. You're just saying all this, yes, 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 yes. And so you train other people to not have to do as much.
It's true.
And then you burn yourself out. So a lot of consequences to not saying no. And like anything, here's the thing, we're not dumb. We do things because it works, because in the moment, all these yeses work, right? You don't have to get into a fight with somebody. You get to, if you're going to, you know, do the cooking or the cleaning, or you're going to do that project at work, you get to do it the way you want to do it. So you know it's going to be done your way and it's going to be done quote unquote right. And so there's a lot of positives in the short run. So if we say this 1,000 times, you always want to remember there are certainly gains for doing this particular thing. This one, it's, you know, saying yeses 1,000 times. There are gains in the short run that are certainly going to feel good, but the long-term hurts are so significant that you're going to pay on the back end big time. And you're setting yourself up with every yes that you say that should have been a no. It's a setup on the back end.
Maybe what we need to go over is some of the ways that you can say no without it being harsh and uncaring and not relational. Because maybe we need to just be very, very explicit about that and put out there some real specific tools.
Love it. Let's do it. So what's one way that women can say no that is, you know, compassionate or relational? Oh, and shall we define relational? What does relational mean?
Yes, let's define relational.
You had the best definition, Lisa.
So by relational, you know, one of the things I say is, I kind of talk about a grounded powerful strength, which means the core component in a grounded powerful strength is compassion. So you have enough compassion for yourself to stand up for you when you need to and say no and whatever you need to, while also having compassion for the humanity of the person on the other side of you in how you do so. So, and the bottom line rule is do no harm. So relational is You have compassion for their humanity in how you're saying no. You don't just bark it. You don't say, no, I can't believe you said that to me. There's a way that you are thinking, oh, Dee, use your word that you were talking about, that you were telling us about earlier.
Aini. So it's a Peruvian word that is about reciprocity, how it goes back and forth. Mhm.
Aini. I love that. And so anytime you're saying yes or no in any relationship, there's Aini, there's that reciprocity. And so when you are saying no, you are keeping in mind their humanity, and you are keeping in mind that I want the best for them and they should want the best for me. And if they're not acting as though they want the best for me, I have the right for that. And I need to stand up for myself. And I need to, remember that in how I speak to them and how I'm showing up. So with that, there's lots of different ways to say no. One is you can say no with appreciation, which is like, hey, thanks so much for the invite. I so appreciate it. I'm going to have to pass on this one though, but have a great time. Right. Another one.
There's the work one where, your boss wants you to get something done sooner, or can you take on this extra thing, where you can say, I know that we're really slammed and we're down a person. I can do that by Friday.
Yes.
Rather than, oh, it has to be right now kind of thing.
Yeah. Another one with the work one that I love is, so I know you wanted this piece done. This was really important. You wanted this done by today. Which one is more precedence? I can leave this one and do that one, or, which would you like, instead of just picking them both up? Yeah. What's another way you can do it?
Well, some kind of recognition about the legitimacy of the other person to ask. So, I really appreciate what you're asking for, but that actually will not work for me. What might work for me would be something like whatever, or just, that really does not work for me.
Right. Love that. So you can give an alternative if like, hey, Friday doesn't work, but I can do this one. I appreciate it. Or it's just, I can't do that. Another, this one is interesting. You'll hear a lot of people say you can just say no. And I have to tell you, when we're talking about, reciprocity in relationships and relationality and compassion, just saying no, well, yes, you have that right. And this is not for women. I'm going to be very clear. This is for all human beings. If I ask you something and you just look at me and you just say no, with no explanation, no context, no nothing, that doesn't feel relational to me. And so on this one, I don't really believe that it's great to just say no. Even like, I can't even think of a time if someone's like, hey, do you want to go to the movies? And I'm like, nah, I'm not really feeling that. At least then I'm saying, nah, I'm not really feeling that. I'm not just saying, no. There's just something that I want something else. It's just a little topping for me. It's a little bit like, I don't know, I'm caring for you enough to give something. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
You're giving of yourself. It's not just about the answer to the question. It's really keeping in mind that this is a relationship. And so you're giving something from your heart about where you are, what you feel, where you're at.
Yeah, it's something that I tell men. Yeah, one of the things I tell men in my practice all the time is you don't get one-word answers. So many of the wives are like, oh my gosh, it's like pulling teeth. He doesn't talk. Are you okay? Yes. Anything you want to talk about? No. Did you have a good day? Yes. It's like, it has to be
like
more than
7-year-old after school.
It's like, yeah, when you're talking to your kids and they do those one-word answers, it's like, you're in a relationship. So act like you're in that relationship and give me compassion. I want that compassion. I'll give you that compassion too. Now, I have no doubt we're going to get a lot of comments on this one because it's one of the ways that we're like empowering women to, you have the right to say no. You can do no without an explanation. Yes, you absolutely do have that right. And if you're in a close relationship with somebody, ideally you want to show compassion in your answer or give an explanation, even if it's like like you're angry about the request, you know, like let's say somebody's asking me to do something out of integrity, like with that one, I'm be like, so the answer on that is absolutely no. And the fact that you asked me to go out of my integrity, which, you know, I just want you to know that doesn't feel good to me. Even that, like I'm standing up for myself, but I'm like giving an explanation, one, to have my back on that.
And I want to be clear about explanation. We're talking about a sentence or two.
Yes.
We're not talking about paragraphs.
Yeah, a short, lasered.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? You're not trying to get them to understand you and see it your way. You just, you want to be thoughtful and considerate and respectful.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love that. Okay, what are some tips when we're thinking about saying no? What are some key tips for them?
Well, I think one of the first ones is, number one, you don't need an immediate answer.
Love that.
You could breathe. And you could go, if I say no, how does that feel? If I say yes, how does that feel? And really pay attention to how you feel about your yes or no. But you have to have a pause.
Love that. Pause, tune in. You want to think I say tune in, tune it out. Like tune in to me. What do I think and feel? Is it a yes or no? Let me tune out the world. I don't want to think about how they're going to respond or what they think, or if they think it's okay for me to say it. Let me just do that. So love that. Okay.
First, you have to do that first before you can be considerate or thoughtful. So first we tune them out, and then we tune back into the fact that this is a relationship.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Okay. Be clear. Be clear. No wishy-washy no's or wishy-washy yeses. Be clear. Whatever you decide is fine. There's no right or wrong. If it's a yes, say yes. If you're saying yes because it's a yes to you, not if it's a yes to them. But if you're saying no, you stand behind that no. And you don't have to say it angrily or pissed off or anything else. You speak it with that grounded, powerful strength, very calm, very relationally, very matter of fact, but say it. Make sure everybody knows it's a no.
And you don't have to be angry because they asked. Because if you feel like you have a right to say no, you don't have to be angry at them. They can ask whatever, and you can just be clear about where you are.
Yeah.
And they can ask you 10 times and you get to say no 10 times.
Right. Yes. Don't let their 10 times push your no to a yes.
Yes. And don't be guilty. Don't feel guilty for saying no. Don't think you're doing somebody harm by saying no.
You get a guilt-free no. All of your no's are guilt-free. You get a guilt-free no. There's your ticket. So did the people around you.
Get out of guilt card.
Yes. Yes. Love that. The other thing, here's a tip. If you're not sure if it's a no or a yes, then what you can do is say to them, hey, listen, I need to sit with this. I'm not sure. Give me 24 hours. I'll come back and I'll let you know. So take the space. Don't worry about it. And if you are one of those women that do a knee-jerk yes without ever thinking, then I would start, letting the people in your life know, hey, listen, I'm working on saying no. I want to be clear. So now anything you ask me, I'm going to take 24 hours before I answer. Because if I don't take that, I'm going to do a yes, and I can't do that. And if they love you and they're relational and it's ini, is that the word?
Ini.
And they're having ini, then they're going to so appreciate it, and they're going to want to support you with that. Okay. And then Dee, there was one more about it being, go ahead.
It's not a privilege. It's a right. It's not a privilege.
So know that you're right. Your right to say no is a right, not a privilege. And the same for everybody else, by the way. These rules that we're saying to you
Yeah.
pertain to everybody in your life, male, female, cis, non-cis, trans, it doesn't matter. So we're not asking you to do this because you're a woman and we want you to be nice, or we're a woman. No, it's about being relational with everybody in your life.
Even your
Okay,
dog.
so let's wrap that up. Anything else? Did you have something, Dee?
I said, even with your dog.
Even with your dog. All right, here are the tips. So pay attention to how it feels, slow it down. You're not sure, like get clarity. Is this a yes or is it a no, right? And then honor your answer for you. Know that saying no is a right. It's not a privilege, right? You have that right. So does everybody else have that right around you. When you say no, be clear with your answer. No wishy-washy no's. Be very, very clear. This is the answer. This is what, you know, there's no gray here around it, right? It's a no. If they ask you 10 times, you are sticking to the no. Don't let their multiple ask wear down your no or turn your no into a yes. If like they ask you 10 times and you wear it down to a yes, that's on you. You could stop that conversation and tell them, if you ask me one more time, I'm going to leave this room, right? There's a lot of things you can do, but don't let that no become a yes. And then the last one is be relational. Be relational. There are many different ways to say no. And as long as you are honoring the humanity of the other person in how you say no, you're good. Okay. Challenge.
Nobody has a right. Nobody has a right for you to do what they want.
Oh, say that again. That's so
Nobody
true.
has a right for you to do what they want. They have the right to ask, but they don't have a right to get. You have the right to give or not. That's up to you. So you have to really hold on to that and not give it away.
Okay, play that 1,000 times, women. That, there it is, right? You have the right to ask anybody anything. They have the right to ask you anything. There's no question you can't ask somebody, and neither you nor the other person has the right to any expectation. So love that. Love that. All right, challenge. What's the challenge? You're working on saying no. What's the?
Be aware. Be
There you
aware.
go.
Know inside of you and be aware of what you're doing with it.
Yeah, watch where you're saying yes when you really meant no. You know, when you had a knee-jerk reaction or somebody wore you down, or but you ended up with a yes, and that's not what you meant.
Love that. And when, you know, good way to do that, when you're watching, when you say yes, but it should have been a no, journal about it. Why did you do it? What was happening? Were you afraid? Did you want to be nice? Was it the person, you know, that particular person? Is this just a knee-jerk thing you do? What is it? Slow it down, get conscious, try to figure out what's driving this, what's driving your yeses. And then after you observe for a week, then the next week, start practicing no. You can choose like to do it in one area of your life. You can choose to say it with one person in your life, whatever it is, but start practicing saying no's. And then for the men, the challenge for the men, who wants to take the challenge for the men?
Accept no.
Yeah.
No is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, the person on the other side is being relational, but no is no. And so watch when you're asking 10 times or pushing it or doing that sort of thing. What's going on for you that no can't just be no?
Love that. Love that. Okay. So this is the Rising Podcast for Women, and our topic today was saying no. If you like it, pass it on. If it's helpful, drop us a line, drop us a note. If you have comments or questions, ask them. We'd love to take a look. Until next time, enjoy your week and practice saying no cleanly. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you again for joining us this week. And always remember, you have the power to change the world for women by changing how you walk in it. I challenge you to choose one way to stand in your grounded, powerful strength this week and be part of the ripple of change.